yield the floor. Islam.
Islam. Islam Moors. So like I stated previously, um, I came into Moorish science by way of the teachings of C.M.Bey. I didn't come to Moorish science by way of the more sense of America because my story is that briefly I used to go when I was in around 14, 15 years old. I used to go up to 42nd Street, to hang out. And it was Moors up there from the Great Seal. And I'm from the nation of gods and earths. So, I now was the 120 around that time. So I used to want to debate everybody. So when I saw the Moors with the fez on, I automatically go up to them. I say, peace, God. And I try to debate them. And, the brother named Muhammad Bey from the Great Seal, he started telling me that I wasn't black and that I was a Moor. And he showed me the Zodiac Constitution. And, you know, right then and there, he captured my mind. So, I knew right then and there, I was like, this is for me. And eventually he took me to the Great Seal in Queens. But I never joined the Great Seal, but I would go down there with him sometime. And then, some years later, in the mid 90s, I was introduced to one of my teachers, Nakeem Bey. And I went to Harlem to meet Brother Nakeem Bey, and he told me about the meetings and the classes and everything. I attended the classes, the 12 weeks class, and eventually I received my Clock of Destiny card and Zodiac Constitution. And during that 12 weeks course, he taught us which each article of the Zodiac Constitution meant. And he went into the zodiac astrology and masonry, various different sciences and degrees that he took us through. It was very powerful information that I received at the time. I think the classes was a matter of fact, the class was at across the street from Muhammad's Mosque number 7 in Harlem. It looked like a school, but it wasn't a school. We have classes there. And it was deep classes and then we'll meet and it was, very informative. And then I had lost contact with Brother Nakeem Bey for a period of time. And I was on a train and I saw a Spanish brother with a fez on. So he's telling me, I'm like, Islam. He's like, yeah, I'm about to go to some meetings right now in Brooklyn at Port Robeson. So when I go to Port Robeson, I go there. I tell my mother about it. Me and my mother go. But I'm a quiet person. I don't really talk that much if y'all don't know. So, I'm in Port Robeson. I'm going there like every time I have a meeting, but I'm not really talking to nobody like that. But then I found out that the brother that was there was Clock of Destiny. It was a brother named Muhammad and Sharif that was there and so forth, and the El Devon and things of that and stuff like that. And when I told them I was Clock of Destiny, I showed them my Clock of Destiny card. And they're like, "Oh, right, we Clock of Destiny." So then I got reintroduced to Brother Nakeem again, and started going back to the classes and learning information and stuff like that. So I don't keep it a secret that my introduction to moral science was by way of CM Bay. Even though I'm a Grand Sheikh of Muslim of America now, I love CM Bay. Um, I always let it be known, via social media that I came from the Clock of Destiny, and I'm still a member of the Clock of Destiny. And I've got Brother Nakeem Bay to come on this call or the Zoom meeting to explain the Clock of Destiny, its true intentions of the Clock of Destiny, to clear up any confusion pertaining to the Clock of Destiny, and how he received the rights to the Clock of Destiny, and just to give us an understanding of the Clock of Destiny and its true intentions, because I feel that many people was taken from CM Bay's works and giving CM Bay's works a bad name, but have nothing to do with CM Bay. But people use CM Bay's name. When you read certain CM Bay's literature, and with these models are demonstrating using CM Bay's name and copyright, it has nothing to do with CM Bay taught. So Brother Nakeem, he could give us a pure cup of what N.Bey taught and the truth is the clock of destiny. So with that, I say peace, and I'd like to introduce my brother, um, the Grand Master Teacher, Nakeem Bey. Peace. Unmute your phone, God.
Yes, yes. Yeah, thank you, brother. Yusuf, appreciate it very much. Acknowledge your steadfastness, your continuous elevation and the great works, of the more science, clock of destiny, and other science you added on to build that foundation. Make it great. So good. How your brothers doing? All right? Everybody all right?
Yeah, we doing good. We doing good, man.
All is well. Praise the Lord.
Good, good. Mine was a journey, but I'm gonna give you a little.
Islam doing well, brother.
Islam. A summary. In New York City, there's only one organization that profess clock of destiny materials, and now with the Great Seal out there in Queens, New York, they sent me on the bus. The Great Seal Association of Moorish Affairs, and I went there, probably like 3 meetings. I left because their approach, and what they used to argue about, it ain't something that I always vibe towards, walking the course with army fatigues, black army fatigues, and I remember when I went to Jamaica without a passport back then in 94, 93. I remember when the council general asked me, or the vice council asked me, well, my headquarters, I couldn't tell them on the bus, no lights, it wasn't moving. I couldn't give them no phone number, no address, none of that stuff, So later on, I established the Moorish Consulate and the Moorish Consulate card by way of a real ambassador from St. Lucia, and I went to the bus meeting, probably my third meeting, and they said, well, who gave you the right to put together a diplomatic card and consulate? I told them I'm God, we didn't have that. So I added on. And they wasn't vibing, on that page. I guess I wanted me to go through them. I wouldn't mind if they was more organized and if they had a professional perspective. But I come with something and you don't have nothing to validate our movement. So from that point on, I just stepped off, it wasn't my circle. But then one day we all went to Cleveland, Ohio, a lot of the Moors, when I had the Moorish Consulate. And a lot of Moors in the Cleveland, Ohio, under the late N.Bey wanted to meet it with me, basically. And all the Moors know that because they wanted a consulate in every state. Well, I told them that that's not how it goes, But anyway, while I was there, N.Bey Minister of Law named Brother Dumas Bey, his full name is Joseph Dumas Bey. He was Senate Minister of Law. He picked me out, out of nowhere, whereas, I was to be the man to carry on the clock work. But it happened one day when I was teaching in this building, as Brother the Great Sheikh said, the building Oberian Dempsey Center. Brother Shalimar Israel, he was there, sitting in the audience, other more was in the audience. And the Great Seal came with about, I think it was 15 Moors, armed fatigues on. One brother had a robe on. And they came to charge me with teaching in the school and forging a diplomatic card. First of all, it wasn't a school. It was a building that used to be a school, but it was a center. So that's number one. And then number two, the diplomatic card that I had, there were some people using that card abusively. So the Great Seal came at me regarding that, you know, it became very aggressive. And then at some point, like I said, Shalimar was there all that time. He know what happened. So at that time, they went to remove. Well, the brother with the robe on said, even though it's not a school, it's still a Christian institution. I still remember that. Even though it's not a school, it's still a Christian institution, right? And the one who triggered all this it was a guy named Nwamba Bay. He triggered. I told him in front of everybody that was there that day, you are a troublemaker. I told him that. But I meant that, you know. So when the big brother, I forgot his name offhand, he passed away from the monster AIDS. But anyway, he was in the back. He was approaching me. He was saying, even though it's not a school, still a Christian institution. So I totally ignored it, right? So then they went to remove the flags, the Moorish flag and the Canada flag off the wall. I said, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that if I was you, you know? And Raleen, who was their lieutenant, stood up in front of all of them and said, Islam, Islam, you're out of order. He told all of them, you're out of order. You know, he was the lieutenant. He's God by it too. But nonetheless, you know, they stopped. And they wanted their credentials back, they said. Their credentials. And I said, I won't give it to, his name is Daoud. He passed away. I won't give it to him. I'll give it to Raleen, right? And then, I think at that time I called Dumas Bay, whom I met in Cleveland, Ohio. And he said, give them what they think is theirs. I'm coming down. He came down with about 3 brothers. Brother King Preston Bay, another brother, right? They came down, they drove down here. And they gave me CNBA credentials. So Messiah was there, Raleen Salahuddin was there, Hakeem Bey was there. That was that occasion. I forgot who else was Messiah, Raleen, or Man God Law Ill was there. So they was there in my apartment at the table. Dylan Bay gave me CNBA's revised credentials. It was a yellow card, not the one that the Great Seal has and other people have, because they've been forged, they've been altered, right? There was revised credentials that had 1951 on it. Okay, so he gave me those credentials. I said, cool, and he gave me CNBA's writings, and I told Messiah to go out and make copies. He made copies and gave Hakeem, Mangard, Raleen, Mangard, and all of us that was at the table. Hakeem, right? Hakeem, a copy of CNBA's writings. So we knew what he felt. We knew what was his internal objectives. We knew things that this wasn't in the Constitution. It wasn't in Clock 1 and Clock 2. You know, it just wasn't there. And so when I got those credentials, you know, they came down again. And there was Naherta Ill was there. Sharif Nubay was there at one point. Certain Moors was there, certain occasions to bear witness of doing they passed me the baton to activate the clock order. And that was all in 94. All right. So that's how I got the clock. Through chaos came order, I guess, you know. So that's how I came across this information. I had a conflict with the Moors and the Great Seal and, you know, prior. But because they only they existed. And then I came into being. And when I came into being, that was a conflict. I'm telling people, the Great Seal wasn't thought about CNBA. You know? Oh no, that ain't CNBA's Fasima card. That's a forge. You know? Oh no, CNBA got a tax card. That ain't the tax card right there. You know, so I'm dealing with, you know, what I have, you know, and what's out there. So I'm really exposing those with fake credentials. So CNBA said, beware of forgery and imposters, you know? So I was very strong with that defense back then, you know? So now the clock is here today. So the rumor, which is so ignorant, right? The rumor is the premier or the Grand Master or Night King change the copyrights. They are so like, I call them dumb because I don't work for Library of Congress, you know, and neither am I behind the desk. Who has the power to change a copyright number? I don't have that authority. When they assign you a number to copyright materials, it's on to you. That's it. So I cannot change what the federal government, Congress, Library of Congress, put in place. That's number one. Number two, Ralim know about it, Messiah know about it. Not only did CMB burn Circle of Life Book 2, but CMB also removed the credentials from Library of Congress. Why he do it? I know he burned the book. The Elder Moore said, Johnson Bay and them said, because the Moors weren't ready for it then. And I understand, because right now you also the same thing. The Moors not ready for it, you know, right? Book 2 had military secrets. That's what he said. So we can see also with Clark with the 5 symbol card, you know, people go there, they can't find it, or I removed it. How the hell can I move something that I don't have the authority to, right? And whatever year that was, I probably wasn't even born then. Well, 35, he passed away. I was born in 65. So yeah, I wasn't even probably even engaging this kind of stuff then, you know? So you know, like Taj Tariq Hannibal's son, you know, they have this thing with I changed the copyright. No. What happened is that when I got CMB revised credentials and no one knew about, I put those Library of Congress under a number, not a new number, because it never had an old number. That Constitution and that 5 symbol card and that tax card are the actual ones that has been revised. It says 51. So if you read the copyrights, it says revised credentials. So if you got the yellow card from me, you got the revised credentials. It don't say in that document 48 or 47. You see what I'm saying? Right? And I don't get into this with people, with these new Moors and these crooked Moors, dirty Moors. I don't get involved with this because for me it ain't worth it. You know what I'm saying? Right? So let me give you that part. Now there's another section I'm gonna tell you about. I got the bylaws because it was in his writings. You know, he exiled about 7 to 8 members. One was the secretary, Sister Bush. I met her in Cleveland, Ohio. Johnson Bay, who had Circle Mothers and Sons in Cleveland, Ohio, was also exiled by CMB. Porter Bay, that had something to do with starting the Great Association, was also exiled by CMB. So think about it. Clock of Destiny versus what? Web of Destiny. All right? So, and if you knew the Web of Destiny materials, it's deep. But you can see how a lot of those brothers was taught by CMB, you know, how basically they did their own thing, right? So he exiled these individuals. So now you have different groups that popped up. What really had Circle Mothers and Sons. That's what existed. Then you have the Great Symbol of Motion Affairs. That's another one. Now, take the example. I saw the Clock of Destiny. I taught Skylar Hawkill and Arlene. They saw the Ziza Moorish Nation. Their constitution, it's just like CMB's. It is that it demands, it's aggressive. Their 5 symbol card, just like CMB 5 symbol card, they just changed it a little bit. It says Ziza Moors, right? So they go Splendor. They didn't last, so it's what it is, right? So now let's start naming these other Moorish groups out here that exist. They are splendors of some splendor, of some splendor, of some splendor group, right? So the Clock of Destiny is very preserved what they have, right? And very, very private, you know. MSK got adept chambers throughout the country, right? In different bodies, right? they ain't gonna impart information from the adult chamber on down. You gotta be found worthy of no chamber. So the same name of clock of destiny. You see what I'm saying? Right? So people think that they are entitled to clock work. I don't understand that, because if you look at the original legal guide of CMB, the first article, it says members only. And these credentials are not authorized without the signature, right? I got the stamp and the seal. If you look at the Web of Destiny that the Great Seal uses and others legal guide, it won't have that first article. Because if they had the first article, as CMA have in his, it will expose who they are. So you was not entitled to clock of destiny, constitution, books, anything, if you were not members of the clock of destiny. Bottom line. So they might be flying AA 22141. Members of the clock don't even engage them. We don't feed them because they're like bloodsuckers. They want to abstract, right? So, how do you control that? Well, they're doing it to themselves right now. That's how I see it. But if anybody used the clock name behind their forgery, then I will have a document written up, sent to the authorities, and I give them the actual copyright number to what the right credentials are. And I'll pinpoint their impostorship and their forgery. And I can even put it in the Constitution where it says illegal schemes, which a lot of these so-called Moors are doing, illegal schemes. I don't have to do that in terms of like notifying authorities, because a lot of these new Moors are just dropping off anyway, So that's how I came up by way of the clock of destiny and its credentials. Now, what's the purpose of clock of destiny? It's not complicated. There's a preamble. The preamble tells you that the goal of the clock is to establish business enterprises, change through the human consumption, government, etc. So if you're in the clock of destiny and you have a genuine idea like the COD College, right? That came about by two of the members in the clock. Premier, you should establish a college and let a lot of people in general be exposed to some materials that's hard for them to access. And also they pay for grandly at a time not even getting what they need, right? So we established the college. That's what we did. Now you might, say, I want to establish a library. I want to establish, as the brothers did, all toiletry, Asiatic tissue, black tissue, what do you call it? Toilet tissue, right? Paper towels. MSTV is going to establish this particular business, right? The clock had the same idea. The preamble tells you business enterprises. So that is one of our major concerns. Major concerns. You see Memphis Mizram Lodge in New York City, in Louisiana, and in Florida. Yeah, it's governed by Moors. So we have lodges, and they're linked to Israel, Romania, and other Portugal, and other countries. And there's members on the clock that's in Portugal and in Lebanon and in Dubai, right, and Kuwait, right? So the lodge piece was not a regular standard lodge, right? It gives the members within the clock paradigm access to world relationships and world connections, So, that is another idea. The preamble gives you the vision. All right, that's one. Number two, we do definitely provide the nationality card, the Fatima card. But the Clark Gale told me from 2 years ago when I went to their family day in New Jersey, the only MSTFA give out nationality. I said, that's fine, Mo. That's fine. I don't get into all that. The reason I don't get into that, because I'm about doing the work. And I say that's fine because in 1929, when the prophet returned to the essence on the soul plane, right? You had Moors kidnapping, having shootouts in the court among one another, right? During all this time, this is going on. But you ask some of the elder Moors in Machiavelli, they will tell you that the prophet had C. N.Bey escort Dr. C. N.Bey from Chicago to Detroit. And you'll hear also that, and Rollins played the same thing. I heard from the different Moors, right? I heard Bay, Clark Hill know about this here, right? You know, C. N.Bey was given a private introduction to study at Yucatan University. Why you there have on the website the Yucatan curriculum? No one know about that. That's C. N.Bey materials. That's what you don't know about, right? So we have it whereas people don't see the connection, but there's a connection, and there's a mission, right? So when the Moors was in chaos in 29, as I call it the Great Divide, C. N.Bey was, he said, especially for Mason Eastern Stars, C. N.Bey went after certain individuals with the Zodiac. So I can tell them more, when y'all was fighting and killing one another, man, C. N.Bey was on his mission, doing his job. When y'all was down, C. N.Bey was up. You know what I'm saying, right? So to battle with the clock regarding nationality, you know, I don't think you really have any say regarding that because, you know, like I said, when France had Morocco on the seas, we were flying the Moorish flag over here. So you Moroccans over there in contemporary Morocco will have no authority to the Moors over here in the U.S. Right? While y'all was being conquered and had to move your feathers, we would find ours over here. All right. So, you know, nationality definitely is one of the purpose, and example, one of the purpose. And one of his writings, he said, is to teach enough of wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. That's how he worded it. To Asiatics, so that we can represent the Moorish nation in Washington D.C. Right? The Moors with that package, they don't talk about. I'm seeing what they say. So we're supposed to have taught Asiatics be upstanding. He said, you know, don't do it domination in organization. Don't offer your opinion to anybody to ask you. Selfish interests, right? Right, don't try to dominize. He has certain things he said. He said that we are clock-adjusting representatives. So our purpose also was to represent the Moorish nation in DC, you know? But it happened to be a lot of individuals are functioning very individualized, you know? So I move very private, like C. N.Bey said. Conceal your nationality card and your Moorish constitution. And he said, show them your birth certificate and social security number, and use the psychology all the way. A lot of Moors out here don't believe in birth certificates, social security numbers, and passports. That's on them. Before the Patriot came on the scene, Patriot movement, the militia movement, the freedmen came on the scene, Sharon Biggs, who I know are Patriot, some of us people who I met who are Patriots, they listen, they propagated that, and the Moors adopted that. I'll say cloned themselves. All right. So that's not our teachings. You know what I'm saying? Right? So, you know, there's a lot to the clock. And definitely it's very mysterious. He said, conceal your card, your constitution, and use the psychology all the way. Right? So more sitting there, affidavits here and documents over there, and paper terrorism over here. Listen, he said, conceal your card. He said, or else you'll be on the outside looking in, missing the grand opportunity. So a lot of Moors are detaching themselves from part and parcel which is land, a part and partial meaning government, right? They're detaching themselves from the plan. And they're sending out all kinds of documents to all kinds of agencies. Different groups are doing this here, like crazy, you know. But CMA said, don't do that. Or else you'll be on the outside looking in, missing the grand opportunity. You see? So what we do in the clock, we follow that to much of our ability. We follow it to, fair enough so that, we carry out the clock work as much as possible. So that's what I'd like to say in terms of my experience with the clock in summary and its purpose of the clock. I think Brother Yusuf definitely and Brother Tune for stick with the science and on their job. Like CMA said, I'm on my job, or you on your job. So Brother Yusuf, Brother Tune, they're on their job, which is great. Peace. If you have any questions, you pop them up.
Yeah, peace. Yeah, Morris, I can ask any questions. You said something very key, and I received that degree from you as well. Coming through the clock. You said that CMB said pertaining to your social security card. Now, a lot of Moors use CMB's name, but then they don't want to deal with social security. But you just stay, and which I read, I have the document that says that CMB, talked about the social security card. So, you collaborate on that pretty much more with these Moors, not dealing with social security, using
Right.
CMB's name, but yet.
Yeah. Social Security, if you look at the Moor Constitution, it says name, social security number.
Mm-hmm.
It don't say copyright number, social security number. CMB tax card that I stopped giving out, it says social security number. They have the Dred Scott case and the New Deal. Right? That's what CMB taught. What the other Moors are talking is not what CMB taught. He didn't teach that. That's something totally contrary to CMB teachings. Show and prove is in the preamble. It's in the preamble. You show them your birth certificate and social security number. That's what he said. So that's nowhere near our teachings at all. Peace.
Peace.
Islam. So could you, this is Sheikh Amir. Could you elaborate on what would be the purpose, how or as much as you can, what would be the purpose of the nationality card and other documents if you're supposed to conceal them? Because I'm going to ask questions that I'm going to project that people may want to ask, and I'm going to ask on behalf of them not being present. Islam?
Right. Absolutely. The purpose of the credentials is for nation building, nation building. So I was able to do the Moorish counseling legitimately, locked up for 13 hours. But I applied credentials accordingly. And the call came down to release me from the Department of State. That was 94. Right? No charges, dismissed. I filed acts against them afterwards. It's about government. It ain't about individuality. And remember, everyone did not receive CMA credentials. I got an article that I shared with Moores, I think last year, where he was in his home with Zodiac on the wall, when suspenders, ball head, teaching in his house on the wall, some students, right? That came from the Library of Congress. So the purpose is nation building. People out here doing individual stuff, it wasn't about that. It wasn't about that. And definitely, and CMB said in his writings, most who got it, said, do not be quick to give out the 5 symbol card because you're going to attract hustlers. You're going to attract hustlers. I think hustlers and pimps, or hustlers and drug dealers. I think hustlers and pimps. I think he said, if I remember. Because that page I misplaced, but I know brother still got in theirs. But yeah, so the purpose, brother, of CMH works is to exercise definitely your freedom, right? And to build a nation. You know, that's the purpose of AA. All right, because the landmass he mentioned falls right in line with AA. And I, Messiah, know I got it. You know, word life to my son. I never asked for it. The Department of Justice sent me a slide, a microfiche slide. You got to get it reproduced, and it ties right into copyrights. Came out of nowhere. You know, I'm like, wow. All right. So I use that for the nation. You know, nation building. I don't give it to individuals because it ain't about the individuals, it's about nation building. So, brother, answer your question. The credentials is for free Moors, as you know, right? That come under the umbrella of Clock of Destiny, right? And that's where the protection lies. We're working on right now the Department of Statistics, but everybody in the college, we know who's in the college and who got credentials and who don't have credentials. So if you're on, it's like you're on the USIP, right? The Grand Sheik, right? Then you have the Grand Body, right? I think it's in Baltimore. I'm not sure, right? I think it is. You're under that Grand Body. So everyone that's registered in your temple and other temples got protection from that Grand Body. And as long as you're under that temple that you're in Brooklyn, right? Then you specifically have protection from that temple. So the same thing. If you're under the clock, you have protection under the clock. You know, right? So if you get your nationality today, and that can be easy, right? Because he said it don't be easy to give it out. So I give members usually the counselor card first, which was the card that we applied at that time and recognized. And by law, it meets the standards of proper identification, right? Based on the case law that I have. And so they get that, right? But they don't mean they're part of the order itself, right? They're part of the Moorish nation on the Clock of Destiny. CMA called it the Clock of Destiny Islamic Moorish Federal Great Seal Government, right? I don't know if Tuni have it. I don't know if you used to have it, but it was a format of departments. I know Tuni still have it, right? You might still have it, but it had the format of the Clock of Destiny Federal Great Seal Government, you know? So right, so long as you're under that umbrella, that's where your protection lies. You know? All right, brother?
Islam, appreciate you. I got one more follow-up.
Sure, no problem.
So for again, playing law's advocate, not that he needs one, but with brothers and sisters who have had success utilizing CM.Bey's works, what have you to say to them in terms of we have the brothers and sisters from the Great Seal is just one example of the various modes that we see popping up in these 2000s, in these 20 teens that have had success in court cases, child support, traffic court, beating other kinds of cases, utilizing the works of CM.Bey. What have you to say on that?
I will say that's positive. They are succeeding. They don't have our blessings, right? Because they're doing it individually, and we know usually more that function individually want to find themselves out there alone, or one or two individuals, right? I'm gonna give you an example. When Mangard Allah wanted to get an apartment in Ocean Village in Far Rockaway, he needed a reference. So the Moorish council called on his behalf, but he was under our jurisdiction, right? If he was just a Moor calling the council and that rest under our jurisdiction, that protection is not granted to him. Let's take he was locked up one time for cost of all that, right? Everybody in the back got out. Went to the back. I got them out. Right? So that's good what they're doing. Now, I assure you that in their documents, there's some patriot concepts that's also in there, you know? And that works without bringing us to a bad name, then be it. You know, like I said, the Great Seal, one thing I will say in a positive sense, their job was to uphold CNB's works to the best of their knowledge. That's what I understand, right? They just couldn't take me existing, you know, right? But they don't have a good, they don't have a good structure, you know. I'm a Leo, so I'm fixed. I like structure, you know. Yeah, I don't go to get along. I need to know what's going on, what's happening, and representation. So answer your question, that's fine. You know, it's not under the clock of destiny. You know, and the move we're making is very broad and narrow. Because a lot of more is talking about court. If one have this constitution and my clock of book, volume 1 and volume 2, it shouldn't have to appear in court. Right? That's Article 6. So all of a sudden now, you become more American, and usually because you have some legal issues. And you're happy with the individual satisfaction. But where is the nation building at? You know, where's that at? And that's where it's lacking. So more individually using it, hey, more success. But I had more contact the clock. They got documents from Rock and Raya, you know, even charge. We don't deal with that. You have to go to them for that. You ain't come through our process. You know what I mean? Right? You know, because like I said, they're about the individuality and I'm about the nation. All right, brother?
Yes, Lord, appreciate you. Anybody else want to ask any questions?
Islam. Moors. Yeah, I just wanted to. This is Sheep Tunde Sadat Rail. I just wanted to.
It's on there. Face more.
Base. I just wanted to add on and say that going back to earlier references, we definitely, you definitely want to push entrepreneurship, being business owners, owning property, so on and so forth.
Right.
And with that, you have a lot of Moors. We represent the working class in this country. And so if you're in the working class, you work for the post office, you work for law enforcement, public school institutions. It could be UPS, whatever the case may be. When you go into those institutions and you're applying for that job, you shouldn't, bombard them with a whole bunch of Morris documents. You have to use applied psychology to make sure your position is secured, because, you could be misconstrued with individuals who are part of, the sovereign citizens movement, paper terrorism, so on and so forth. Now, once you secure your position, then you can go to personnel and submit, particular documents as far as your status as being a Moorish American. But you want to make sure you have the job first and foremost. You have some individuals who, like when I started my position, working with state government, I didn't have a L.A. on my name when I first started. But I was active in the Moorish movement. So I didn't come with a whole bunch of MST documents, a whole bunch of documents from C&Bey. I just made sure I got the position. Once I got the position secured, and I had, I applied added the L.A. to my attribute, then I, put personnel on notice. I'm Moorish American, so on and so forth. So you have a lot of Moors who, they so radical with it, they don't even secure their position. They don't secure their position, and they wind up not even getting hired or getting terminated. So, in regard to the applied psychology, that applies to working in the job field that we have today as well. So you have to be smart, and you have to know how to navigate within the system. A lot of those, sovereign citizens group, they were telling Moors to revoke all of their adhesion contracts. whether it be Social Security, driver's license, so on and so forth. So you have Moors, they ain't had no Social Security, they ain't had no driver's license, none of that stuff.
Yeah.
And then they, you know, when you put yourself in that position, you finish. Like you got to go out to Utah and live out in the mountains somewhere, in the cave somewhere, and just light those marshmallows at night. You know, you can't survive in a modern day society without those credentials. The reality is you can have those credentials, proclaim your nationality, and your status will be on notice. Because I've done it. You know, the Grand Sheikh done it. The Premier Nakeem Allah Bey has done it. You know, that's the proper perspective to do. But again, they've taken, you know, MSTFA information, C&Bay information. They mix it all together like a big potpourri, and you know, they're being classified as paper terrorists. Then they try to file these documents with different institutions. Then they talk about the Constitution, but they done revoked all of their adhesion contracts. You know, they want to use the Constitution, but they saying they not a citizen. So what's your point? You're not a citizen, but now you want the benefits of a citizen.
Yeah.
And you revoke all of your documents. So you just out there. So this is some of the misinformation that they were putting out there for Moors. And again, that's why you have to, you know, understand that you are, you know, part and parcel of this said government and know how to navigate within the system versus trying to oppose it, because the Moors are the ones who, as we all know, we built this government, we built this country. So why would you totally want to separate yourself from it and then still live in this society?
Right.
When you still have to pay your rent, you still have to pay your mortgage. You know, even going through the tax situation, I had to tell her, she said, oh, I'm taxes, blah, blah, blah. So I said, listen, sister, even so-called Indians got to pay taxes in the form of the gaming commission, those who got casinos, they got to pay taxes. When you go get gas, it's a commercial tax in that gas. So we can all have tax breaks and tax write-offs, but there's certain things that you purchase is already going to have a commercial tax in it. You know, but that's just understanding how society and government works and how Congress works and things of that nature. So I just wanted to put that out there to the Moors to be, you know, beware of, again, those paper terrorist groups and those sovereign citizen groups who pushing that, you know, revoke your credentials type of mentality. That stuff will put you in a serious jam. And with that, I'm gonna say peace.
You know, peace. And I want to add on to that. I think the Moors sometimes just forget. I don't even pay no mind at all. When the Prophet Noble Ali said, finish your old business in your old name. So all new business in your new name. You know what I mean? A lot of these folks, man, they come with baggage. And they continue their baggage, you know, in this direction, in the Moors direction. When all their debts and all their criminal issues and so forth should be taken care of prior to this time. Not when you get here. And this is what a lot of them are doing. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, like your brother said, definitely very clearly, you know, come on, you got to work, man. You know, got children, got a family. You know, you mess with those sovereign ideologies, you're going to find yourself on the outside, you know, of economics, you know, take care of yourself. So, yeah. I mean, we got to protect them in our works, man. This is serious. But go ahead, brothers. I'm open for questions.
Islam. I want to ask another question for brothers. And want to make a statement. Like, us Moors don't have a problem with taxes. Taxation of our representation is the problem. You know what I'm saying? According to the Zodiac Constitution, according to law. But was CMB's Clock of Destiny? Because I know I have the document where it says that it was a cultural club. Was it? Because I was building with a brother, and I was trying to explain to the brother through the education I received from you and other brothers that CMB had it was a cultural club, and that it was not for everybody. And they want to advocate that CMB was teaching this information to everybody. And I'm trying to explain to the brother that this is a cultural club and that it was for certain of those individuals that he picked. And then he states in the Clock of Destiny book 1 and 2 that, you know, this was Eastern Star, Masons and Eastern Stars, because they already had the light already. So can you elaborate a little bit on that to give a clarity on this?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I, 'cause, you know, I, like I said, like your brother said, definitely very clearly, you know, this is what a lot of them are doing. You know what I'm saying? example,
Y'all hear him, Moors?
Nah,
Nah, I thought it was just me. That's why I was quiet.
Yeah, it was about to get hot. It didn't
Yeah.
got stuck.
Yeah, he
Nakeem,
froze up.
you frozen.
Maybe
it might be his connection.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't want to interrupt. I was like, man, I thought my thing froze up. I'm sitting here like, oh man.
Yeah, we got
Yeah,
our
I'm
ears.
waiting for the answer too. Oh, he just exited out. He coming back. I'm sitting here waiting for the answer too. Like, what happened?
We got all our ears is open. Like,
Yeah.
and you see,
Islam. I just wanted to this is Islam rise to my highest heights. Father God Allah, to give honors to all prophets, Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, Confucius, and the last prophet, these days and time, Prophet Noble Drew Ali. My name is Jeffrey Ron Gideon. I'll greet y'all in peace. I invited a few guests. I know they on this call. Just to let y'all know, you're open to ask any questions y'all want. The brothers is more than able and happy to answer and give y'all a reply. Peace.
peace. Thank you, brother Jeff. See, this is what I was trying to explain to the brother last week. Because, like, you know, me and Sheikh Tunde Sadar Ra'el, this is where we come from. This is our school of thought we come from. We was educated in C.M.Bey's works and teachers. And y'all can see for the things I'm saying, you know, brother Nakeem N.Bey, the Grand Master teacher, he's not saying anything contrary to what I was saying last week.
Huh.
You know what I'm saying? So it shows you that, you know, the brother was, like I say, he's a good brother, but he's very misinformed about C.M.Bey's works.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll wait for Nakeem to come back in.
Islam and you know, me and the Grand Sheikh had a conversation. I mean, that's almost the equivalent of a brother look on YouTube or he hear about a certain martial art system and he looking and he pretty much takes everything he see on a YouTube video and go start his own system based on what he saw in the video, but he never actually went through that school of thought himself. He never actually trained and got his credentials from that particular martial art system, and he go ahead and create his own. That's fraud. That would be considered fraud. Like, you can't just take somebody's information. You never went through that school of thought. You don't even know the founders of the institution, and you go and create your own based off of that. Like, that makes no sense at all. And you should want to know the proper procedure and protocol for that particular system. You should want to know the proper way to educate yourself in that particular institution. Why would you want to have half information and misinformation and you interpret it for yourself? That's why so much confusion with the Moorish movement. You have Moors cutting and pasting and putting together a collage of information without going through the proper schools of thought and without the proper consent and creating their own organization. This is where the whole paper terrorism comes into play. This is why you see Moors going to jail, getting arrested, you know, taking documents. We seen what happened with the sister out there. She took some of Taj's documents. She got arrested. I'm not sure if she was shot, something else, or something else happened with that. But like, we've seen numerous cases where they happen. We seen it with it even spread to I believe it was Deion Sanders' wife.
Yeah.
It was Deion Sanders' wife. You know, the list goes on and on as far as individuals taking this type of ideology, mixing and matching paperwork, filing it with the courts, this, that, and the third, and then you see the end result. You wind up getting numerous charges put on and getting arrested. So with that, I'm gonna say peace.
Nakeem, he says he's trying to get in.
Yeah, I don't see him. I just let Muhammad in, Sheikh Muhammad in. Okay, there you go. I got him. Lord Ed.
Give him whatever.
No, that's Lord Ed. That's that Lord Ed.
Somebody gotta mute their phone with the noise in the back.
One of the key things I got that he said it's about nation building. It ain't just an individual thing. Something you've always been teaching us.
Islam. Yeah, Jeff, the next person you let in, make sure it's Nakeem, because we don't want to get it too filled up and he can't get in.
Islam.
Nah, I don't think it's a capacity on this.
Yeah, it's not. I don't think it's a capacity. I think about more than 100, right?
Islam, now hear me?
Yeah, you on now? Yeah. It's
Yeah,
long.
I don't know. My iPad just went to print automatically, so I don't know what's going on. Yeah, brother, listen. I mean, you know, but this was right. The Clockadecian Order was a private organization. It wasn't for everybody. You know, the legal guide, the first article says very clearly that these credentials. Hold on, where my bag at? I think I got it in here. Yeah, I got it right here. Right? It says the legal guide, right? Warning, this document is not bona fide without Moorish School of the Great Seal membership. Recent was club. This document is not bona fide without Moorish School of the Great Seal membership, clock of destiny, card, and clock of destiny, Moorish birth rights, zodiac constitution, and seal impression and signature of the author N.Bey. So if I tell somebody, yo, you're 9 o'clock, you're not entitled to what I have to say regarding the clock. They'll get upset because they feel that they're entitled to it. You know, if you don't have that card from Clock of Destiny, then technically speaking, no doubt, you're not a member of Clock of Destiny. You know? So when people talking about they are entitled to it, I don't know where to get that from. You know? They really think that. You know? Where you don't get it from? The only legitimate organization is Clock of Destiny. You know? So other than that, if you got from anybody else and I didn't authorize it, it can't happen. All right. And like the brother said, right, it says in the book, especially for Masons, Eastern Stars. Like Marcus Bay said, when it says in preamble that the Islamic government and the federal government is well blended into one, I asked him, who's that? He said the Masons. So you talk the Masons, right? Because they're the keepers of this here science, you know, right? The protectors here in the North Gate. That's what they are, you know. So being a Mason myself, prior to me joining Moorish Science, I know what it means to protect and keep something sacred. Also, I know what it means to let somebody show and prove before proceeding to the next studies. If you don't have a Ben ill in your name, and I have to constantly remind myself of that, we really have no serious conversation about any credentials of N.Bey. Because you don't have a Ben ill. You haven't taken the time out to get the Ben ill on your name. You know what I'm saying? So why should you get anything from Clock of Destiny? You know? You go MSTV tomorrow. You go for a whole year. Now a year you want nationality. Cool, you got that. But now you want to go in the Adam chamber. Where you get this stuff from? I don't understand. You know? In the Fountain Nation, you have to show and prove before getting any lessons. Bottom line. You ain't getting no high advanced lessons until after you do 120 degrees. In Masonry, you got a book, but you really don't know it. You know how it's done. So in Masonry, you get degree by degree by degree. You don't just jump. You gotta earn your stripes. You don't go to MSTFA and all of a sudden, now you're ADAP. You've been down for 3 or 4 years. You think you're entitled. You have been around. You have been engaged in the movement, doing nothing but talking smack. Right? Looking good. You know, paying your dues, but you ain't really involved in the movement. Now you come 2 years later, I'm gonna go ADAP chamber, and they tell you that there are prerequisites. You be like, I ain't going through none of that. I'm a Moore. I'm a free Moore. I'm a Moore's national. Well, shit, why you here? Why you over here then? Knock on the door. You know, the same clock. You had to finish a 12 weeks course to go in the clock. Not have it where you go to the college and you get filtered out in the process. You know, the people come because they want that 5 symbol card. Nah, you don't get that card automatically. Anyway, you get the counselor card initially. And if you're about to work for CMB, you get that 5 symbol card. That's simple. Now, the 5 symbol card was $35 back in 1951. I didn't change it. I love it how it is. More gonna think something crazy. Nah, little brothers with that package, they know what CMB said the card was for. Tim card was $12. He had a practical tax card, but it was there. So, you know, these people on the outside of the movement, whether MSTV, whether it's Clark, when you're on the outside, you guessing, you're trying to figure it out. You bumping your head. But you gotta go the same way others have gone. It's that simple. You know what I mean? Yeah. All right, brothers?
Peace. So y'all can see, you know, some of my train of thought where it come from because you know, the Moors that's in the temple, some of the things you're saying is the things I'm saying because I got some information from you. So they know I'm serious when it comes to having the N.Bey on our names and, you know, keeping things sacred and different things of that nature. And then, you know, me and you, we come from some of the same schools of thought, the Nation of Gods on Earth, Nation of Islam. And then I went through schools of thought with you myself. You brought me through certain schools of thought, you know, so we share a lot of the same, you know, A alike, B alike, and C alike, you know, pertaining to how this information should be distributed.
Right.
So you know, y'all could see more when we was building with the brother last week, and I told him that Clock of Destiny was a cultural club. It wasn't for everybody. And like Brother Nakeem N.Bey said, is that, you know, you gotta go through CM based school to know what CM based school, else you guessing. I want to ask a question too, because we see brothers, they have like the title Al, Day, Pasha on their names. And I just saw Zodiac Constitution last week that had that in the Zodiac Constitution, and I was trying to share with the brother that is protection for the L's and Bays in the Zodiac Constitution. The Day, Pasha, and Al was not mentioned in the Zodiac Constitution, in the original Zodiac Constitution. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, absolutely. The Morris Zodiac Constitution says for bays and ills, referred to as Negro, blacks, and coloreds, and Jews. And they don't say no other labels. Same thing MSCFA. You gotta have a bay and ill. This is what the Prophet brought, what CMA introduced. Now you want to do your supreme understanding, how you see things. You want to bay and ill, and bay, and you want to add Pasha, you know, and Dea and Pasha of Tripoli and Dea of Algiers, you know, Ali, the Prophet said don't use, you know what I mean? That's on you, but just know that that don't have anything to do with the Prophet movement. Not the Clock of Destiny. But I assure you, the same ones that are coming under those labels, those titles, they're using something that has something to do with CMB or Noble Jewelry and their materials. Guarantee you. And like the brother said, right, it's a constitution. Someone got it. Right? Listen, you know, I don't sweat it. You know, There's an old lesson that says, any attempt made by the weak or wicked to ever use such a knowledge will bring death to such a one. So those who are misapplying this information, misinterpreting the information, leading others in the dark, blind leading the blind, are doing it intentionally to deceive others, they're gonna die in their own nicotine. You know what I'm saying? I don't even recognize them. Why should I? I respect your existence. You think you're entitled to something in which you're not. You know what I'm saying? So bottom line with me is that, I only recognize two bodies, MSTFA and Clock of Destiny. Other bodies, they're offshoots, somehow or another, and they're not following the program. So I'm not going to be concerned about them as we grow, as we expand ourselves. All those on the umbrella is on our protection, and that's how I see it. I see people say all these groups. No, it's all right, because how I see it, I see the MSTFA, God of his portions, I see them to be Morocco. I see Clock of Destiny to be Algeria. And I see the other Moors as mixing, which is a whole Moorish sovereignty group. They are probably Ali, because Ali wasn't a good name in history. There's a lot of wicked stuff in the past, right? There might be Ali. I'm just gonna give you that kind of knowledge, right? So people say, why not we unite? First of all, you can't unite if your own program is not fully together, right? But mostly, number two, I want to say is that let us be Clock of Destiny, Algeria, and let MSTV be Morocco for what it is. You have kingdoms, right? So if you're over there with Charles Tariq and the rise of the Moors, and we want to call yourselves, right? Just know that that's not Morocco and that's not Algeria. All right. So I don't even be concerned about them, and the members, are very discreet in the Clock of Destiny, who they deal with, because we have a lot of professional members in the clock, and those Moors and other groups that I mentioned, right? They do a lot of things that can bring a bad name to an organization, and we don't want to have anything to do with them. I mean, you got two brothers, two in the work for the government, used to work for the government. Y'all know if y'all get one summons, I mean, not one summons, one court appearance, they're going to remove you from your job until you bring in a disposition showing the verdict. You know how I know? Because I worked for the Board of Education when I was an ambassador. And I got to notice that my job was relinquished until I bring in this position. And I brought it in, I was reinstated, right? Because there were no charges. They just dismissed it, right? So can Brother Yusuf afford that? Can Brother Tune afford that? Can you brothers on the job afford that? It's because you're on business, right? No, you cannot. So you can choose to mix and mingle with that stuff, or you can just do what you do, follow the program. So yeah, so he said, see, the resolution in Philadelphia says Bay Ali, and other surnames that was the fix. You were accustomed to using his head. So Moore's going to interpret that. I want Ali, I want Day, I want Pasha. Well, if that document you're going to use, then you got to come on the Islam then, right? That's fine. But you didn't come on the MSTFA with that, because that's not what the Prophet brought. You see what I'm saying? Right? So yeah, brother, those surnames don't have anything to do with us directly. Peace.
Peace. Moors, ask your questions. This is a very rare occasion. We got the brother right here now. he could clear up any confusion. So ask your questions while we got the brother here.
It's Sheikh Sadiq. One question, because now I understand that you have the copyright for the Zodiac Constitution, things like that. But now, how is it? Can somebody tell the difference between yours and, let's say, just a Zodiac Constitution that you got off the internet?
Well, I still the one. I still the one. I signed the one that I issued. You know, that's bottom line. But see, also we have a few secretaries as well that can always verify. You know, who's who. You know what I mean?
Okay.
All right. So we have few secretaries in place right now. Even in the copyrights, Sister Queen Hill. I don't have no copyrights because she called. They arranged things in different department now. It's crazy now how they got it set up. I said, sister, you're in charge of that. So remember the clock when they finished their lessons, you know, up to a certain point in the college, and they wanted to claim nationality. We give them a package to pursue their process, to get guidance in the process while they're doing it. And then when they have that bayonet to their name, they order the copyrights, but not on their own. You contact her and she sends it out. That's it. So we have a very, you know, tight system, you know, like a government, you know. So we can tell who got, because everyone don't get 5 symbol cards. So we go with that, right? The Constitution, now you can ask them, are they flock of destiny? You know what I'm saying? The question is, where you get it from? The last page is gonna be signed, you know, right? So yeah. And I count on my hand how many people got nationality. Because everybody through the college don't get it. All right, brother?
Islam. And I guess you could explain the college a little bit more.
Well, the college was a brainstorm. It was crazy, man, how the college came about. The college came about to expose information to the community that was hard for them to get access to, because they was being bamboozled, they were being duped, taken advantage of, couldn't get this, couldn't get that. You know what I'm saying? So that's why the college was originally established, and then it evolved to become international. You know, with people around the world, Scotland, Canada, Hawaii, and so Germany became members of the college. You know, so at that point, I wanted to become something like a Rosicrucian, like the Rosicrucian order. You know, I wanted to be international, worldwide, and so it became that. And then so as it was evolving, we put people in place to be responsible for helping people in the lessons as they study, and then when they pass lesson 13, then they can reclaim nationality, you know, and then they walk through that process once they're ready. All right. And so now from the college, we select our members to run the government. You know, we give people a try. People been holding it down for a bit, and the women are very strong in the clock. So you know, we have temples. We have one in Florida being perfected. Oh, it's stable primarily. Louisiana is stable. It's not Ohio is building. Connecticut. This Irish mob there, temple with brother Olusanya Bay, and then we're going to build New York City very soon as well. So the temples are very similar to Nation of Islam, kind of like to a degree. I say to a degree, right? So from the college, we filter out who are qualified to do what, and we assign them based after certain studies, certain assignments. We got like 6 sisters and 1 brother in Georgia right now studying together for temple in Georgia. We got about the same amount of individuals in Arizona, right? But I have a brother and sister managing that. So the college is college as as we say in mechanic order, is a peculiar system. You know, it's a peculiar system. You can't just get in and think you know about it, man. You know, it's a very peculiar system. That's how it is. You know, even Miss Ram, I got the rights. I said, hey, Moors, boom, we got this here. So now some Moors in the college can travel anywhere in the country just on the strength of what I set up. You see? So the college, brother, is a nation got lodges, got everything, businesses. You know what I'm saying? You know, a nation got everything, right? So the college is the filtering process to also execute the preamble. You know, so don't be surprised if 2 more today come. I got a preamble idea. Let's see it. Make it happen then. You know what I'm saying? You know. So yeah, and the college is also you know, a lot of lessons are very similar to prosecutions, MR, similar to them. Because that members in MR got also members of the college. So it's similar to them. You know, it helps them solve life problems, health problems, help them solve career problems, family problems, a lot of things. It's a very powerful, brother. All right?
Islam, appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, peace.
Peace.
So so you see how the more Nakeem Bey, he set up the college to be able to filter out those and produce, you know, governmental minded Moors to run the clock of destiny in a government structure. So it was very wise. And he talked about the clock card. Now what's funny is that Moors, they want to get the copyrights out of the Library of Congress, but when you look inside the copyright, the card is copywritten, but yet they don't carry the card. And that's when I asked Moors, all right, you have the copyrights, but where's the clock of destiny card that's copywritten with inside that document? And if they don't have the copy, if they don't got the card, what's the purpose of having a copyright? Because you got the copyright, the AA, but yet you don't have the documents which is in there. And you could get the Zodiac Constitution, you could get the clock of destiny 1 and 2, but do you have the Zodiac? Do you have the clock of destiny nationality and identification card? And that's how you know if somebody's not is acting in a fraudulent capacity. They
Right.
cannot produce that card. That's
Yeah.
why on my page I put the card up to show that I have the card, I have all the credentials because I came through the proper way to receive this information. And like I said, I always let it be known that that's my school of thought. I come from the clock of destiny. I'm always
Right.
gonna let Moors know that, that I was educated through the clock of destiny. And so when you talk with Moors that want to show you the copyright, ask them for the clock of destiny nationality identification card. They're not gonna be able to produce that.
Right. So what I do, and you're right, because the 5 symbol card, it links to the actual copyright itself. And I provide the Morse counselor because of card first, because it falls in line with the preamble, where it says good government, etc. Right. So as long as you have that counselor card, we got your back, right? But your goal is one that 5 symbol card. That's your goal, and that is what will take people a hard time to get, because y'all know it. How many members came to your temple and joined and left? So that's what they do, man. They
Yeah.
come, they get until they feel they ain't getting enough, and they leave, or then they got something, they leave. You know what I'm saying? So you can't just give things away like that. I feel like N.Bey. I'd rather die before I give some of these Jews certain divisions. You know what I'm saying? Because they're gonna bring down our nation of Asiatics with their selfish caste system. N.Bey said, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, that's peace. Yeah, it's very similar to we come from Grand Street Richardson and Timothy Dingle L. And Grand Street Timothy Dingle L, he gave us certain cards and identifications and credentials as well that everybody just don't get. You gotta keep these things sacred. So, those of us who, receive this, they understand where you're coming from, because we have a similar system in place.
Absolutely.
And when you
Absolutely.
study the Supreme Grand Resurrected Timothy Dingle L. So, I don't know if anybody else got any more questions. It's about to be 2:30. It's up 2:30 for the Grand Master Nakeem Bey.
Islam.
Go ahead,
I just
brother.
wanted
Ask the
to add.
question.
I just wanted to add with that credential. I'm looking at my clock of destiny right now. Nakeem Bey signs it. It says anyone attempting to duplicate this card will be penalized. So if you don't have that card and they don't have that signature on it, it's not authentic. You dealing with fraud.
And then look at the card also. It says on the card, nationality card, social security number.
Correct. Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Social security number. Right.
Right. So the more don't come with, social security number as proof and they applied for it, they ain't getting it. This is why it's so scarce who get it and who don't get it, because you gotta at least walk that path. You know what I'm saying? You gotta at least walk that path. People don't want to work no more, man. You know what I'm saying? People don't earn theirs. So yeah.
Yeah, and that's also on my Zodiac Constitution. It says marriage by this constitutional law of the Moorish nation, social security number. It had
That's right.
occupation, your occupation, date of birth, and your name. And I got my seal on it. I got my clock of destiny seal on it, your signature. I have several Zodiac constitutions that I received from you. So this is my point, Moors, is that you see I got the Grand Master Nakeem Bey to come on a Zoom call to explain the clock of destiny. You see that he verified that me and Assistant Grand Street Tune Sadara L are members of the clock of destiny. We have certain credentials that he had given us throughout the years. And to this day, even though we're sheiks in the Most America, we still represent, CN Bey and his works to the highest esteem. And we're productive members within the Clock of Destiny as well as the More Science of America.
Absolutely.
So the brother came on, he cleared up a lot of the confusion. You could see that what I was telling y'all last week, I was, very much on point. He came into more depth into the information. And then so he cleared up a lot of the confusion. We're gonna put this up on our channel and we're gonna share this because these Moors out here love the UCM Bey's works and claim to be students of CN Bey, but they didn't walk this school. They didn't go through this school. And me and Sheikh Tune Sadat Rael, we know all the great Moorish masters from New York City that was demonstrating this science from 0 to 9 in its high degrees because we come from their tree. We could trace ourselves back through their tree, but through Nakeem and Messiah and Man God and Wamba and various different other Moors, Ralim. We come from that tree.
Right.
And you could tell a tree by the fruit it bears, and we come from that tree. So we want to thank the Grand Master Nakeem Bey for coming on our Zoom meeting and sharing with us this information about the Clock of Destiny and CN Bey and how he received the credentials and cleared up the misconfusion that he did not change the copyright number, that he put the revised credentials within the Library of Congress, and how Brother Joseph Dumas Bey came down and gave him the original Clock of Destiny credentials and things of that nature, and the little bit of history that took place. So now we have no confusion when it comes to the clock of destiny. You know, it's cleared up. And now this is archived, and now it could be shared throughout the world, you know, pertaining to this N.Bey's works. So Moors, you know, y'all didn't have to go to this person, and get some watered down, grafted information. Y'all got it straight from the brother, you know?
And,
And
and
those of y'all who interested in the clock of destiny, because you know, reach out to the brother and you know, join his classes and learn the CM-based works and the clock of destiny, become a productive member within the clock of destiny. And those of you who want to become members of the Most Sons of America, you know, who wants to under the Supreme Grand Resurrected Timothy Dingle L, you know, you could contact us, and you know, so you got to find where you're best comfortable and suited at to pursue this information to become, you know, that mastermind. So now Kim, you could close out with some words you like to say, and then you know we could end this meeting.
thank you, brother. Yes, thank you, brother. I'm Yusuf Bey, Grand Sheik. As I mentioned, like certain names, right? Like Raleen, Salahuddin, and certain names, right? Like Man God, etc. That were there. You know, don't believe anything you hear. Go to the source. If you know these good brothers, and ask them about that. Shalom, Israel. He was in the building when they came to allege shut me down, right? He was there, but he was also there when Doomsday signed the document to give me the authority. I can't find the document anymore, but he was there. Sharif N.Bey of State New York Conceptions was there also. There were certain Moors that was there. You can ask them. So when Moors guests try to find out other than going to the source, you're just getting, as you said, watered down information, you know? But remember, our job is to uplift fallen humanity and to teach the Asiatics about the higher self and the lower self, and to have respect for the federal, state, and county laws of the land. And by giving them their free national name, right, and title, that allows them to request and even demand respect from different levels of government, because now your character has changed and you're no longer a misplaced what? Person. And you're returning to the constitutional fold of the Great Seal, right? But you have to be careful not to mix militia material and posse material, patriot material, like a lot of these so-called Moors are doing, right? Because they're going to think that you're of the same ideology, and you're going to establish a separate concept now, and it's going to confuse the masses, right? So, you know, another thing I want to say, the Prophet Noble Ali told the Moors that they ought to preach economics. He said that they won't be securing anything without economics. Dr. N.Bey said, we rather fight over the mystical names, God, Jehovah, and Allah, and deal with simplified facts and science than solve our economic problem as a people. So while a lot of these individuals out here are being selfish and have hidden motives, right? We have to stick with the program. And like Brother Marcus Bey told me, he lives today, right? In his 90s. Like he told me that the Prophets program and Dr. N.Bey program is one and the same. All right. So if you look at the program, it's all about uplifting humanity. So we have people doing individual stuff, which is very selfish, right? But heed your Grand Sheik, right, Sister Grand Sheik, because there's a program to be implemented to raise fallen humanity. Nationality cards are good to have. Constitution Zodiac is good to have. Clock books, Moist Quran is good to have, because it keeps you solid as an individual as opposed to. But what's most important, I really so much believe, is their overall understanding, right, what part and partial means, and part and parcel means part of the land and part of the government, right? So you cannot be part of the government and yet be acting contrary to the government. You know, we have enough law and understanding to hold the officials accountable to the oath-bound obligation to protect free people, right? And because you have bayonet on your name, you have a standing that you can represent moving forward, right? So I'm just saying, let's not forget the program. And you know, the prophet said, don't call them niggas, call them dirty Moors, right? So, you know, we can't be bogged down with all that negative garbage, you know. We got to focus on the program. And no matter what, they're going to talk about your Grand Sheik, talk about you. It is going to happen, right? But while you're moving forward and they're getting locked up and going to court 1,000 times and all the other stuff, you look back and say, they should have went the right way, but they didn't. Because like the N.Bey said, there's no shortcut to the truth. There's only a few followers with a narrow path, right? And that's a one of those documents, right? So I remember that, you know. It's only a few doing this at work to see it through. But the main thing is each and every one of you who consider joining MSTFA under the Grand Sheik, to the Grand Sheik, earn your stripes in your studies and get rich in your knowledge and see what programs are in place and how you can assist the Grand Sheik to the Grand Sheik and moving the agenda of the organization on behalf of uplifting falling humanity. Islam, by Mega Moss.
Mayim. So we appreciate you, Brother Nakeem. Amir, you wanna close out? We still got time. We could add on.
Yeah, Islam. I think the demonstration was pretty sufficient today. I think that you know, our objective was to kind of give Moors a history and a background of, you know, the brother, the Grand Master Teacher Charles Mosley Bey, also affectionately known as N.Bey. You know, the origin of his works, the history, you know, after his transcending from the physical form, and basically kind of clearing up what, you know, Moors are utilizing today and giving them a better understanding of it. So I think that we succeeded in doing that. And it was most gracious of the brother Grand Master Teacher Nakeem Bey to come on and share this information with the Moors on our platform. So we're very affectionate to the brother. We've met on a number of occasions. Obviously, I met him through the Grand Sheik and the assistant Grand Sheik. We would have, you know, a lot of the Moors that I've influenced, you know, in my personal paths would have not known this history had I not came in contact with the Grand Sheik. And through you Moors, I got to, you know, get a lot of great information. So with that being said, Moors, I will afford one more opportunity to ask the brother a question, because we, as he said, we got like, you know, at least another 5 minutes, you know, for him to answer your question. There was a question, actually, somebody was listening in with me that had asked about the you expressed the 5 symbol card. You know, I've seen those symbols, you know, reading the Clock of Destiny, my volumes 1 and 2 myself, and you know, I know Taj and other groups also utilize that those 5 symbols. So if you want to go into the science on that, that'd be greatly appreciated.
Well, you know, the 5 symbols are like 5 gates, you know, and those 5 gates, you gotta know how to utilize them to your advantage. You know what I mean? All right. Those are 5 symbols that allude to certain access. So to be able to speak those languages is very important to make certain moves. But you gotta be legitimate in that stand. You know, unlike the Hebrew Moors, they can use the hex alpha. You know, He had more to do with Egyptology, but mostly, remember, Prophet was in the Adab chamber, right? You know, he was head of the Adab chamber. He was the Egyptian Adab, right? So they get pyramid. They didn't have the world of Islam, and we can go on. You know, so these are tools to be used. So when he said especially for those that travel that way, it has a great insight. I mean, the lesson on the 5 symbols is pretty cool. It's pretty good at breaking down 5 symbols, you know. But it's much more because there's 2 sides. There's the operative side and there's a divine side, you know. Because Doing Bey said, don't call matrix speculative because we don't speculate. He said, call it spiritual, you know. So I'm letting you know that, you know, there's a divine side, there's an operative side, you know. And I'm familiar with the divine side. I focus more on the operative side because people need results and not just books to read, you know. So I'll give you that type of knowledge, my brother. Like 5 symbols, you know, very interesting. You know, if you're unconscious Asiatic, you come in, this is like powerful, man. This is deep. Wow. You know, but I got to explain to you because you don't know about it. These are high symbols. You know, I travel with Miss Ram, so I have 89 degrees, right? That's high. I gotta take you to the very beginning on down and bring you up to reach that level of understanding and show you how it works. You know what I'm saying? It's like having a Masonic sign, different passwords. You don't know which one to use at what time. You know what I mean? You know, so the 5 symbols is that world, is that science. All right, brother?
Islam, appreciate you.
Same, brother. Same.
And with that said, boys, at this time, we're gonna close out our meeting as we opened it with our Moorish American prayer. Those who are participating at this time and who are able, please face the east, feet on a 45-degree angle, 5 fingers on the left, 2 on the right. Allah, Father of the universe, Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, in my salvation, by night and by day, through his holy prophet, Drew Ali. Ameen.
Ameen.
Islam. Brother Jeff, at this time, could you please stop the recording and make sure that it's saved?